Hi, good morning everyone. Thank you for joining this session on upgrading to Business Central. If we just start off with some introductions. My name is Aileen Primrose, and along with my colleagues Lee and Eilish, we are your sales account management team within KIK. So part of our role is to offer you any advice and help and solutions that are available for you. So it's what we're going through today. It's probably just worth mentioning that although we are not technical specialists, each of us have previously worked as implementation consultants for various business systems. So hopefully this means we can use this experience to offer any help and advice we can. So if we move on to the agenda for this session, which should take us around 40 to 45 minutes. Firstly, we will have a look over the key reasons that customers upgrade. Lee is then going to provide a demonstration of the latest version of Business Central, showing its new modern look and feel and some of the great new features that it has. Eilish is then going to walk us over the options and incentives that are available to you for upgrading. And then we'll have a look at the processes and some of the methodology that we have to ensure that the upgrade goes smoothly and with us assisting you all the way through the process. And during the session, please feel free to post any questions you have in the questions area and we can take any of the questions and go over them at the end. So why upgrade to Business Central? And we've highlighted some of the key reasons here and we'll walk over these each in turn. So if we look at the first one then, the adoption of modern technology. We have a lot of customers wanting to move onto the cloud, so there's been a huge demand for this. One of the reasons for this is that the pandemic meant that the companies needed to have the facility for staff to work from home. So moving systems onto the cloud allows users to access the system from anywhere. Many companies are still offering the flexibility now for people to still work from home or offer hybrid working scenarios, including the flexibility on working times. So again, being able to access the system anytime is key for this. So the latest version of Business Central enables customers to have a highly secure access anytime to the system, and that's via the internet by any internet-enabled devices, such as the devices that you can see here, laptops, tablets, mobile phones. Another great benefit of upgrading is once you move on to the latest version of Business Central, you can stay up to date. As part of Microsoft's new modern lifecycle policy, there are two major releases each year, one in April and one in October. So you don't have the situation where you become locked in an old version, as some customers are just now. That doesn't happen anymore. These major releases normally include also lots of great functionality. So twice a year, you're taking advantage of all that new functionality, and that continually improves processes. This functionality is usually round about improving processes to help you save time. Shortly, Lee is going to be demonstrating some of the great new functionality that's in the latest versions. Another important factor is Business Central is just part of the Microsoft 365 platform, which most companies are already using just now for Office products. So things like integration with Excel, Outlook, Teams, and Power BI is just standard. If we have a look at Power BI on the next slide, that is something that's extremely popular just now, and we get asked a lot by customers if they can use Power BI to analyse data that's in their existing accounting systems. So Power BI is used for KPI reporting, as it provides great insights into your data via dashboards and visualizations. Such as the ones that we have here. So these dashboards can easily be accessed within the main screen of the latest versions of Business Central, meaning it's much easier for you to see and analyse data and in turn make better business decisions or provide better customer service to customers. So like I said, these are some of the examples which we have created in our Business Central demonstration system, and during the demo, Lee will be showing some other examples of these dashboards that you can see directly within Business Central. Key reasons here again for upgrading is there can be a big risk on staying on older versions. You want to avoid any of the risks that are being shown here of being out of support. Microsoft's old lifecycle policy spanned 10 years, which meant that it was split into 5 years of mainstream support and 5 years of something called extended support. And the table on the right hand side here of the slide shows each of the versions of NAV and their out of support dates. So all versions of NAV, as you can see, are now out of that mainstream support, and Business Central version 14 is going to be out of that mainstream support in October this year. Just to explain, mainstream support means that Microsoft provides updates for any kind of legislative changes, service packs, diagnostic tools that we can use to help fix issues, plus Kit can get technical support from Microsoft if the customer's in mainstream support. Extended support means that only bug fixes, security fixes, but nothing else. And then after an extended support date, it means that Microsoft no longer provide any updates or support for the product. Microsoft are also very focused on security, so they're retiring older products that have any kind of security vulnerabilities. So again, that's a risk when Microsoft start deprecating some of the services. And if we move on to the next slide, we'll see that there has been some examples of that. In October last year, there was a real issue that customers experienced on older versions because Microsoft turned off something called basic authentication, which was basically a communication protocol around about security. And that meant that any application, program, script or integration using this basic authentication reported an error for users of a bad username or password. And the only way we could fix or help fix that was to upgrade. But then it meant that we were upgrading customers in an emergency situation, which is not something that you want to have. And also Microsoft have announced the end of life for Server 2012 R2 and SQL Server. So again, there's a campaign that we have on the go just now, making sure that customers are aware of this and the options that you have for coming off that old server and upgrading, so again that you're protected in that way. And if we move on to a more positive note, in terms of a benefit for upgrading is that really the familiarity that you would have. So again, Business Central is really just a newer version of NAV. So as much of the great functionality that NAV had built over many years, but it's just used in a more modern way. So your existing data, customizations, your reports could all be migrated to the latest versions, protecting the investment that you've already made in this. Plus your existing day-to-day processes do remain very similar, albeit that there's more modern functionality that you can use. Also, quite an important factor is when we migrate any customizations, this is now done in what's called extensions in the new programming language, and this new method then allows these upgrades that we've been talking about to happen far more easily in future. So again, meaning that you're not locked into an older version, and it's far simpler in future to have the latest versions of the software. So thank you, and I'm now going to hand over to Lee, who's going to take you through a demo of Business Central. So thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Aileen. If you could just pass the presentation to me, and I'll share my screen.
Sure.
Okay, there's a couple of slides there, which 1 second, I'll get that working again. Okay, I did have a couple of slides just to run through, but unfortunately my PowerPoint decided not to play. But basically, what my slides were just going to really introduce is that there's a lot of new functionality in Business Central. There's hundreds and hundreds of small and some large changes within the product. I can't obviously show all these changes just now. It's really just going to give you a look and feel of what Business Central looks like, the SaaS product. And as I said, I'll cover some of the features as we go through. So Business Central is available in cloud. So just now I'm sitting using Microsoft Cloud. So my Business Central is sitting in a browser. It's browser based. So again, just to show you, if I just return, you'll see my Business Central refresh. I'm sitting using Chrome, and all I've got here is basically a URL. I've logged into the system already. It uses two-factor authentication. So obviously Microsoft are very strict in terms of the security. So there is good security behind the product. It comes in two flavors. You can still, most customers now go cloud, but customers still require on-premise solutions. You can still have it on-premise, but if you host it in a data center or in maybe Azure separately, you still get pretty much the same experience in terms of what you're looking at here. Now there is differences in the SaaS product in terms of functionality against the on-premise product, and I'll maybe point some out as we go. For those Constructor customers that are with us, we're not looking at detailing Constructor today. After the Business Central demonstration, there is new versions of Constructor available as well, but we can actually go through that separately, one-to-one, if you require. So just to get started just now, what I'm looking at is I've got a Kick demonstration company. It's sitting in my browser. Now I'm logged on as a business manager. Now for those customers, some customers on this session will understand the role tile centers and the tiles. Some customers on older versions that don't have that, so I'm just going to run through this. So basically, I'm logged on as a role as business manager, but I've got different roles that come out of the box, which from order processor, manufacturing manager, sales and relationship manager. So depending on the role which you're assigned to and your user rights will depend on how your screen looks when you first log in. So as a business manager, I get access to finance. So as I go through some of these, because as Aileen saying, that the functionality from Navision has been brought across and some of this is improved, a lot of what you're looking at you'll understand. So you've got your finance, you've got general journals, you've got your chart accounts, your budgets, fixed assets. There's your VAT. It's obviously HMRC compliant, MTD compliant. In this version with cash management, we've got cash flow forecast, which is something new on. You won't see that in the other versions. You can click cash flow chart accounts. You still get cash receipts, payment journals, your bank accounts, do your bank recs. You still got all of that. There's some new features called payment reconciliation journal, which maybe I'll touch on. And again, there's sales, customers, items, sales invoices, quotes, all the information, standard stuff you would expect. As I scroll down, what I've got here is, this is a sort of shortcut bar. So I'm able to build up my own menus. So for instance, at the moment, I can't see if I wanted to use fixed assets. I could go into one of the menus and try and find it. But I've still got my sort of my tell me, my search option, this magnifying glass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for fixed assets. And as I do the search, it's obviously giving me different hits. So I've got 22 hits, but there's my first option there, fixed assets. That's what I want. But what I can do is, rather than find it and then next time I want to use it again, try and find it again, I can just bookmark it. And what that actually does, it now adds it to this menu. I'll do another one. Maybe I'm using jobs. Again, there it is there. I'll just bookmark it. So that's a nice way you can start just building up quick access options for where you want to find for you as a user, and just sort of bookmark them and set them up. And scrolling down, we've got quick access to create sales quotes, orders, payments. Again, there's some new functionality which I'll be running through, searching data, which is quite good. I've got options in here in activities, so it's just giving me highlights of what's the sales this month, what's overdue sales, overdue purchase invoices, sales invoices predicted to be overdue, which I'm going to discuss. That's some new AI technology. And so if I sort of drill down on overdue sales invoices, £474,000, it's going to drill down and show me all the invoices and all the amounts. And then from there, I could do my usual stuff within Nav. I could look at it, I could find the entries. I could then, analyse which GL count entries it's looking at. I can look at the customer ledger entries, all the stuff that you're familiar with. Looking down, I've got ongoing sales orders, quotes, purchase orders. Again, I can drill down, just have a look to see what's happening in the system. It's just giving me touch points just straight off the front screen. I can quickly look at the information. I'm scrolling down further, and Business Central is a Microsoft product. So the integration into other Microsoft products is key, and one of them is obviously Outlook. So just now, when I send emails from Business Central, it'll actually show me what's been sent here. If there's anything failed, so I'm doing a sort of statements and remittances, I don't have to go into Outlook to see what's been sent. I can actually see all my sent emails from here from the last 30 days. This version and other versions don't have built-in approvals. Some customers, on the session will have this function, but some won't. Within Business Central, you have default approvals process. Now, you can use approvals for purchase orders. So if someone goes over, a certain limit, it would stop the order. They'd have to then press a button to actually request approval. That would go to their manager. They would get an email. They could then review that, and if they accept it, the user would get an email back to say, yeah, you can now go forward with that purchase order. You get approvals around purchase orders, sales, on the sales side, sales quotes, sales invoices, setting up customers, setting up items, and there's more sort of tweaks we can do to use approvals within the system as you require. I've got some self-service stuff here. If I'm someone who approves timesheets, I can click on there, and there's some timesheets awaiting for me to approve. Scrolling down, again, we've got some sort of charts, some business performance charts that come out of the box. This one's just looking at age accounts receivable. Let's see the next chart. I get age accounts payable, and so on. Some charts, top 10 sales by customer, which gives you, nice graphs you want to drill down. I've got a report inbox. Again, for those customers who don't have that functionality, in this version, you can run reports and schedule them. So if I wanted to, I could tell the system to run my trial balance every Monday morning, 9 o'clock, and when I come in, it will sit in this inbox, and it's just there for me to view in the PDF format. I can add my favourite accounts to the screen here, which again just give me quick access to look at my bank accounts or debtors control and drill down as I need to. Now, one of the areas that Aileen was speaking about was the integration part. So it's a Microsoft product. So you have out of the box integration into various Microsoft products such as obviously Excel, Word, Outlook, PowerFlow, and one of the ones which has a connector is Power BI. Now, when you buy Business Central, you're given a free license for Power BI, where you can actually write reports, publish them to the cloud, and share them within Business Central. So at the moment, you can see I've got a Power BI report sitting on my desktop. As a user, I'm given access to it. And what I can do, I can just expand the report. And basically, this is just a report which I've written, and it's using the data within Business Central. My first tab is just a KPI on, a quick income comparison. Some of the data is old in here, just to see, what's the latest with the current year in this system, the profit and loss. And this will refresh overnight for me. In the morning, I come back and it will be updated. But I can set different refresh rates. It can be a couple of hours a day if I want to. And as I said, it refresh based on the time schedules. I've got different tabs at the bottom. So I've got one called Sales Analysis. So this one I've just created a quick demonstration of if I want to sort of see sales by area, it sort of just charts it for me. I've got different parts of the country. I've got different salespeople who I'm obviously looking at. I've got sales by customer. I've got the items I sell in a heat map. And I'm allowed to basically just grab and change the slicer by dates. And as I change the dates to see, well, kind of look between these dates, what's been happening with the sales, you can see the figures change, the proportion of sales by salesperson changes, the customer values change. It's a nice graphical way to look at your data at a chart level and slice it and look at how it's performing over certain periods. One called product sales. Again, I'm looking at sales by the type of product I'm selling. Where am I getting my sales from? Is it from the web? Is it from marketing campaigns? What items do I sell which has a high profit? And again, it's interactive. I could look at 2020. So I've just clicked on that year. I could drill down and look at different quarters or different months. I've got a heat map here, so I'm now looking at different salespeople. I click on LP. It actually shows me where I was selling to in that year and which customers. So again, this is the power of Power BI using Microsoft technology, where it can go in and just harness your data and look at that a different way. So that's, as I said, Power BI, the connector's there. You can write the reports yourself. With Kik, we can write the reports with you. And if I just click on select reports, you'll notice that this isn't just one report I've got a whole list of different reports that I could use and look at if I have the permissions to do so. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the top of my screen. And what I'm going to do is, I told you at the start I was logged on as a business manager. I'm just going to change that to a sales and relationship manager. Just to show you as well that I'm in the Kik demonstration company, but I could choose whatever company I'm allowed to get access. So there's multiple companies in here. I can change my work date. There's options for teaching tips, which when you go through the system, will actually give you details of how you use stuff. You've option to change the cloud storage. So if you've got files, you can tell the system that you'd like to store them in OneDrive, when you upload and download files from the system. But just now, let me just change the role to sales and relationship manager, and you'll see what happens. Basically, the screen will look different. It will now adjust itself for that role. and the charts should change and the menus change now. So now I'm looking at someone who's interested in opportunities, contacts. You can see that there, overdue opportunities. As I scroll down, the charts will now change to look at sales pipelines and that type of thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change back to my business manager, just nicer for demonstrating. So back into the Kit demonstration company. Okay, so looking at some of the sort of integration. So one of the nice features with the SaaS product, now we're talking about specifically the cloud product, and there is different ways to do it. If you're on-prem, you can still use what's called configuration packages. But if I click on vendors, this is how the vendors look within both products, whether it's SaaS or on-premise. Now I'm using Tall Tiles, and I put in some pictures, but I can change that just to a list. I can change it to, I can put in my fact box. So different options on how you want the system to look. Now I'm looking at a list of customers. Because this is browser based, if I just take this URL, click on this, create a second tab. What it's now doing, it's now creating a second tab for me to look at. And again, just bear with me, my internet from home's just catching up. It's still looking at customers, but I'll change this to vendors. Sorry, excuse me, I'll change this to customers. Yeah, because this one is looking at vendors. Actually, this one should be customers, excuse me. So what I'm basically showing you here is that I can use multiple screens at the same time, because I'm just creating tabs. I'm now looking at customers and I'm looking at vendors, and then from here, you know, I could be drilling down, looking at certain things, and jump to this tab and looking at it. So you can create lots of different tabs if you want to get different views. You can also pop the screen out if you wanted to, so it creates a separate page. It's just nice functionality. In terms of integration with Outlook, and that comes out the box. There's another integration with Excel. I'm going to click on this option here. Most of these pages can be opened in Excel. Some of them you can edit in Excel, and I'm going to show you that in a second. And you've also got this concept to share in Teams. All these pages can be shared in Teams. So effectively, if you're looking at products or discussing customers, you can take the page, drop it into Teams, and then collaborate around your Teams meetings, and that'll just show you the screens within Teams, and actually allow you to sort of move about and investigate and analyse the data, which is quite a good feature. But for just now, I'm going to edit in Excel. And what should happen is it's going to open up an Excel spreadsheet. And it's basically going to try and authenticate me. So it's going to check to see, well, this user, do you have the rights to do this? So I'm going to try and enable. Bottom right hand corner, it should start saying authentication, and it's just checking that I'm okay, and it's authenticated me straight away. And it's now going to retrieve the data, and it's going to put it into Excel. So that is basically a list of my customers, vendors. So why am I doing this? This now gives me the option to cleanse data. Now, when I say cleanse data, I'm talking about static data. I can't change balances because they are derived from transactions. But through time, my vendors, my customers, you might need to change and cleanse email addresses, phone numbers, or change territories, all that type of thing, but it can be quite time consuming. Now, you can do this, you can still do this in configuration packages and design packages to do the same thing. But out the box for the SaaS product, I can change the name of, as an example, let's say Lee Test Company. I can go through and start changing postcodes and different stuff and phone numbers. But that's enough for me. I'm just going to change that one line. I'm going to publish that option there. So what it's done, it said, okay, it's been successful. I'm going to close spreadsheet. If I just refresh the screen, hopefully my vendor's name's changed from Direct to Lee. And it has there. So you can do these sort of changes in all areas of static data within the system, which is really quite good. It's really good for data cleansing. This out the sort of menu option doesn't work for on-premise, but on-premise you can still use the configuration packages to do the same type of thing. So it's not a great issue. What I'd like to do now is actually look at on the front screen, just show you some sort of the new bits and pieces which are in here. There's so much in here. Obviously I can't show you too much, but let me just go to this option, search and data. So what this does, this allows you to search the whole company data for text, and will give you hits in terms of what it finds. So if I was saying, well, let me search for the word office, what it's done is now saying, okay, it's given me hits for posted sales invoices, which show in the description there's been the word office in it, and that's against the office of the customer. It's shown me there that it's found some posted purchase invoices where I've been purchasing Office 365 subscriptions. And there you see you've got the name Wallace Office and some general ledger entries against the office. And again, I can say, okay, what is this one here? Click on it. It's going to drill down and it's going to show me that entry. And there it is there. There was a purchase of some office products. Let me just try another one. Let's search for labour. And again, it's found, okay, there's been some labour engineering purchasing, and there's some posted sales invoices with the word labour on it. So that itself is quite a powerful tool. It's going to search the whole company data and try and find and match and show you different hits. You can then just click on and drill down into what it finds, which is really quite good. Okay, so we're looking at the customers and looking at the vendors. There's some new functionality for payments. So what you can do is you've got, at the moment just now, you've got your your payment journals and your receipt journals within NAV, and these still exist within this version. So there's just different ways you can do payments and receipts if it suits you. One here called Registered Customer Payments. If I click on that and click OK, this now just gives me a list of outstanding invoices by each customer and each transaction. I'm allowed to say, okay, I'm sitting on a bank statement. I can say, well, yeah, they paid me, they've paid me, and go down the list and they've paid me. So that's fine. And I can post 3 payments. That seems to be a lot sort of quicker than doing a cash receipt journal. It might be that you're sitting and saying, well, actually, it's just a batch, it's one lump sum, but it's lots of different invoices. So for the same customer, I could say, well, let's see what for the same customer, BRIO1, it's that one, and another one. Let's see. Let's use these two. What you can do is you can take the option to post the payment as a lump sum. So just sort of, you're getting one entry from the bank, so it's easy for the bank reconciliation purposes. So again, it's just a nice, easy way to offer functionality for doing customer payments rather than through the cash receipt journal. So I'm just going to cancel that and I'm going to post them. And you've also got another option there for pay vendor. Same idea. You've still got obviously your payment journal, and you would probably still run your suggested payments. But again, if you want to use this, I could say, well, let's select and say, well, yeah, I'm going to pay that, and that. And again, from there, I could create the payment and it will start creating a journal, and then I could post it from this screen. So again, it's just different ways now that Business Central allows you to use its new technology. On this front screen here, I sort of covered that very briefly when we first looked at this. It's saying sales invoices predicted overdue is 2. So what is this? I'll click and see more. What the system's doing, if you switch it on, now there's a big buzz just now around artificial intelligence, machine learning. Those who have heard of ChatGPT might know that Microsoft have purchased, some of the functionality, if you like, and they're embedding it in the products. So artificial intelligence is actually coming and being made available in Business Central. This option here has been here for a bit, but what this does is this uses algorithms and it looks and tracks what's been happening in terms of how customers pay you. And what it's doing just now, automatically itself, it's telling me just now that actually you're very likely these customers won't pay you based on their trends on the past and how they interact with you. So again, it's a nice feature. It's a nice AI feature. There's more sort of machine learning and AI functionality in here, from image analyzers to payment predictions to stock predictions. These only work for the SaaS product. They don't work for the on-premise product, because these are actually linked to Microsoft's Azure cloud and using the technologies to bring in the information, use all the cognitive behaviors and sort of machine learning code in Microsoft's cloud, which is really quite nice. Okay, we're sort of nearing the sort of end of my demonstration, because as I said, there's so many things I could show you. What maybe one more thing I might show you is, let's see, I'm going to search for payment reconciliation journal. So that's it there. So we've got this option called a payment reconciliation journal. So what is a payment reconciliation journal? So this is new to Business Central. What you're allowed to do here is, you're allowed to import your bank statements, your bank transactions. Now I've already did one. And what it's trying to do here, it's trying to look at text within the bank transaction, and if it can match the text to the amount, the date, and sort of text within the transaction itself, if I try and apply, what it's done, it's said, okay, I've matched these. I know that on your bank statement, this customer, or it could be a supplier that you've paid, has come through the bank statement. I've matched the customer, I've matched the amount, I've matched the date. And what it's going to do now, if I post this, it's going to take those bank receipts and allocate against each of these outstanding invoices for me. And also, if I wanted to, it can also reconcile these entries to the bank. So effectively, it's doing allocations of receipts from the bank to the customer ledger entries, and also doing the bank rec at the same time, which is pretty good. There is, obviously, it doesn't always find exact matches in the confidence it tells you there. And again, there's different tools you can use depending on how customers post the receipts to your bank, and how you can pick up the text and how you can try and match it to the outstanding invoices. Okay, there's more I could show you. In fact, there's one. Let's finish off with one more, because I like this one. I'm going to go to field monitoring. So at the moment in Navision, you've got a sort of a change log in the system. If you switch it on, it monitors and shows you all the changes which are made to certain fields. So it's a nice way for you can check when if someone's changed a field from one value to another. and who's done it. But what we've got on Business Central, so I'm going to the option that, is field monitoring. So what you're allowed to do with this, and this is a great example, I think, is in mine, I put a vendor bank, I've picked the table vendor bank account. If someone goes into the system, into any of the vendors, obviously you're paying them, you're creating output files to obviously import into the bank. But if someone decides that they're going to change the bank account for a vendor, I want to know about it. I want to be notified. Rather than me check a log, I'd like the system to tell me as soon as it's happened, and this is what this is for. So you can set up and pull different tables in and pull particular fields in, and if someone changes that field, that's when you want to be notified, because obviously it's important if there's anything on in the background, especially with bank accounts, that you know about it. So this is monitor field entries and notifications, which is really quite good. Okay, I think that's probably my time up. So hopefully that's been useful. And I think Eilish is going to, if I just maybe change to Eilish and give her control, she's going to give you some further information.
Thanks, Lee. You see my screen now? Hopefully.
Yeah, we can.
Thanks, Eileen. So following on from Lee's demo, thanks for that, Lee. I'm just going to cover some options around upgrading to give you some insight into what the process is. So as the guys have touched on thus far, Business Central is available both on the cloud and on premise. The fundamental difference between the two options is the cloud option is fully hosted by Microsoft. You pay a subscription amount per user per month, which covers all of the hosting, all of the backup securities, the upgrades that we've discussed, everything that you would normally have to manage yourself internally on an on-premise offering. So really there's no hardware requirements for SaaS, just an internet connection and an internet enabled device. As I said, you get the automatic updates. It's all through the cloud. It's much like any cloud software that you use. You know, one day you'll go on and there'll have been an update overnight, and most of the time you don't even know that it's happened. The licenses are subscription, as I mentioned, per user per month cost. So the on-premise software, you require hardware for that to be installed onto. However, there are more and more options now for hosting that. So you can host it with Kik, you can host it with you know, an internal server, or with Microsoft. They offer like on-premise Azure hosting as well. So what Lee showed you just now is the exact same interface on both the cloud and the on-premise version. So they both look pretty much the same. The only difference with the on-premise is once you install it, it is a static piece of software. There is no access for Microsoft to do the auto updates. So it is the responsibility of the customer to maintain updates to stay up to date, and as part of that modern lifecycle policy. So these are normally, you know, Aileen had touched, twice a year Microsoft release them. So we recommend customers are doing one at least every kind of a year to 18 months to get the updates, to get the fixes. There's options for both subscription and perpetual licensing on premise. If you, well, most of you already will be all on a Navision or Business Central on premise annual enhancement, then you can transfer your annual enhancement from your Navision on-premise software to your Business Central on-premise software. So there is actually no license increase in cost, unless of course you want to add more users or more development. So a bit more about the licensing. Different to Navision, which is currently a concurrent license model, which means you can have you know, 10 concurrent licenses and 20 users, but only 10 of those 20 users can be logged on at once. Microsoft have changed that, and it is all based on a named user license basis, which means that every individual user on the system requires their own individual license. And that comes back to the Office 365 integration, because your named license, which is your email address, will become your single point of sign-on for all 365 applications. So as soon as you log on to your desktop in the morning, you're auto logged into your Outlook, your Excel, and your Business Central via your named user license. So that's a bit of a change in terms of the number of licenses that you may have to have. With Business Central, there's 3 different license types: Essentials, Premium, and Team Member. The Essentials user is your kind of generic user that has full access to the standard modules of the system, so your financials, order processing, stock, etc. The Premium is not applicable to many of our customers, but a few do need it for the additional functionality of either manufacturing or service management. So that's the only time you would need a Premium user, as if you were using either the service management or the manufacturing module within Business Central. So we would work with you to establish which version of the license that you require. And then the last license is a Team Member. So Team Member can be used either on Essentials or Premium, and it's a light user that gives some kind of read-only access to users. So we have a lot of customers that use it maybe for board level users that maybe want to just log in to see the Power BI reports, or they want read-only access to data to be able to see high-level information. It can be used for things like purchase requisitions. It can be used for workflow approvals. So it's a much cheaper license, but it gives that extra access to those users kind of external to the system that still need some access. I've already covered the subscription on SaaS, and your on-premise perpetual, as I said, can be transferred from NAV to Business Central. So some incentives from Microsoft to upgrade. Microsoft have a cloud-first kind of policy at the moment, where they're encouraging all users of Navision and all kind of users that are out of support to consider upgrading to Business Central. With the SaaS option, they're given a really decent discount of 40% off the per user per month subscription amount, and that's available for your first 3 years on subscription. However, that is coming to an end. They have been offering this discount since Business Central was first released, which was back in 2019. So it's been on the go for 4 years, and they have decided to expire it on the 30th of June this year. So anyone listening who is considering upgrading, I would advise getting in touch with your account manager, be that me, Aileen, or Lee, to discuss how we can secure you that discount ahead of the 30th of June. Even if you don't want to upgrade, now we can secure that ahead of June, so that you've got access to that 3-year discount. Even if you want to upgrade, later this year or next year, we can secure that discount for you before that expires. For our on-premise customers, and there is a number of customers where SaaS just isn't a viable option, be that due to connectivity or the use of different add-ons that aren't available on SaaS, Microsoft are offering a 3-for-1 user offer. So that comes back to what I said earlier. The users are now named rather than concurrent. So Microsoft have recognised that, and they're allowing for 3 users for the price of 1, basically, but there's no cost. So for your current annual enhancement fee, you'll get 3 users for every 1 concurrent user you've got on-premise. Currently, there's no expiry on that, so no need to worry about any on-premise upgrades. That'll be available for the time being, and obviously we'll notify you if Microsoft does implement any sort of expiry date. With your add-ons, I know a lot of you who are listening will be using one or a few of the different add-ons that we offer with Business Central. The licensing can change depending if you go to SaaS or on-premise. So Continia moves to a similar subscription style model like Business Central SaaS. So it is actually based on a consumption model. So with the likes of document output and capture, it's based on the number of documents that you are managing each month. And with your expense management, it's based per user per month, similar to BC. So again, if you're using Continia and you want to look at going to the cloud, then we can review your current usage and give you a cost for that. With Jet Reports and Analytics, your current license will be transferable to the cloud or Business Central on-premise. There are a few caveats with that, so again, we can discuss that with you if you're looking to upgrade. To touch on the KIK add-ons, Constructa, as Lee's touched on earlier, we are still hosting that on-premise. However, there are cloud hosting options available. With subscription billing, we've got options for both on-prem and SaaS, and we now have a upgraded KIK payroll, which is available both for Business Central on-premise and Business Central SaaS. So if there's any information you want to know about any of those add-ons, give us a shout. All your other add-ons, Mobile Nav, Tasklet, Spindle, Dime, and any other add-on that you're using, there is a Business Central approved add-on for when you upgrade, and we'll review what you're using now, maybe suggest an alternative, or how we would upgrade your current add-ons. So quickly, I'd like to touch on the process of upgrading. Internally at KIK, we have our own project management implementation kind of protocol, which is called PQUIS, standing for Professional Quality Implementation Services, and it follows these 5 steps that we've got highlighted on this slide. The first key stage of the project would be project initiation, and at that point we like to do a scoping exercise. So some of you may already have been in touch about this, but the scoping exercise is really fundamental in the full delivery of the project, because it allows us to review what you're currently using, allows us to strip out anything you're not using, so pieces of development or add-ons that you may have now and you might not need in Business Central because there's now standard functionality or you're just not using it. And that allows us to document, what we both agree to be the scope of works for the upgrade, and give you a kind of more fixed cost on what we estimate it will be to get you from Nav or Business Central 14 onto the latest version. We then run through the design, build, deploy and review phases, all managed by your own dedicated project manager, with your account manager obviously available to assist with anything as well. And we found that this PQUIS process really allows us to get the most out of the project and get it implemented as efficiently as possible. So I think that's us at the end of all of our slides. There's some time now. I think we've got 5 minutes or so. If anyone has any questions, then stick them in the chat. I think we've got Beth. If she has any questions that have come through, if you'll let us know.
Yeah, thanks, Eilish. I don't see any questions coming through yet on the chat. So maybe that means we've managed to cover off everything for people on the call. So maybe just while we're waiting on that, then I might take the opportunity, if that's okay, just to remind everyone that KIK, which has grown quite rapidly, and we've now done our 8th acquisition last year. So we do have a whole breadth of technical staff that are here to help if anyone needs to ask anything. So myself and Lee and Eilish, we work in the Dynamics division of KIK. However, today we've been speaking a lot about the importance of cloud and or the benefits of cloud. So connectivity is obviously key if you were looking at moving to the cloud, and certainly KIC have got a communications division, so that specialise in telecoms and lease lines, etc. So we can certainly help you with that, as well as a reminder that we have a technical division. So if any customer wanted to host necessarily an on-prem, if you moved to Business Central on-premise and you needed that hosted so that it's in a cloud environment, then we have a whole division that specialises in that as well. So I think there's certainly, as I say, there's not been any questions come through. So
just seen a wee question pop in asking
Great.
if this has been recorded. So just to let everyone know, aware that we have recorded the session, and it will be issued out to everyone that's registered today. So you will be able to watch it back or share it with anyone that wasn't able to attend.
Great question. Yeah, that's great. Thanks for covering that off, Eilish. Yeah. And is it no more questions then, Eilish? Is that?
No, I don't think so. Oh wait, one more. Can you expand on the Constructa on-premise if we move to cloud? How does that work? I think that's a question we can maybe take offline and get and reach out to you about that separately, if that's okay. I'm just concerned that we're running out of time. So that Constructa question we can take offline, and if anyone has any questions regards anything we've covered today, then please do just reach out to your account manager, and we'll be able to, you know, give you more detail or do a tailored demo specifically to you, so that we can cover off all your questions.
Just on the next slide there, just so that people have got it for the recording, Eilish, there's that. I think there's a. Oh yeah, there was just our email addresses. That was it, so that everybody had the right contact details. Fabulous, and that's on the recording now, so you can refer back to that. Great.
Brilliant.
Super.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining. Bye bye.
Bye bye.